everyone, welcome to Fynd Academy. I am Kevin Karia and today we're going to be solving contains duplicate on LeetCode in Python. The approach in this video is going to be, first we are going to be understanding the question, then we are going to be looking at three methods, and all the methods have different time complexities. One method is more optimal than the other, and at the end, once we have understood all the different methods and the entire question and what approach we have to make to solve the problem, we are gonna then code the most optimal approach. So let's begin. First of all, let's start by reading the question. Given an integer array nums, return true if any value appears at least twice in the array, and return false if every element is distinct. So basically we're going to be provided with a variable called nums which contains an array of integers, and we have to check if those integers present in the array are repeating. If any integer is present there at least twice, my bad, in that case we have to return true, and if all of them are distinct, then we have to return false. So the first approach to this that comes in my mind is the brute force approach. So let's just take this example, right? I'm gonna write 1, 2, 3 and 1, and the first approach that comes to my mind is that we'll pick up one number and then we'll compare it with all the different numbers, and what will happen is that we'll be making n comparisons, right? Because we have n numbers. So in this case four numbers, right? So n minus 1, that is 3. So 3 comparisons, and then that is going to happen 4 times, which gives us a complexity of big O of n square, right? Now this is a very mediocre approach, very basic approach, and very starting approach. When you are solving these type of questions in the interviews, you have to start by giving these basic approaches the first frank approach, the first straightforward approach, and then you have to keep optimizing the question more. This is the first approach. However, this takes up O of n square, which is not a good thing to do. So this will basically be done, if you are still interested, by making 2 for loops. So first for loop will loop through the numbers, and then the second for loop will loop through the numbers again, comparing them, and if by putting an if statement over here, we will return true and return false. However, we are not going to be going with this approach. The second approach that comes to my mind is we can sort this entire array and then check. So basically you can just sort this. So upon sorting this, it will become 1, 1, 2, 3, and then you can just keep iterating. So you can create 2 variables, let's say first and second, alright, and then first one would be pointing to this, or you can just store the value 1, and then second can store the value 1, right? And then what you can do is, for n, you can just enter into a loop of which will loop through all of the elements in this array, and it will keep increasing their value by 1, 1, 1. So in the first iteration, let's just name these variables as f and s. So in the first, let me just erase all of this, right? So after sorting this, we'll be remaining with 1, 1, 2, 3. Now in the first iteration, right? First iteration, f will be 1, s will be 1. In the second iteration, the pointers will move ahead. So f will be 1 and s will be 2. And then the third iteration, f will be 3 and f will be 2. I'm sorry. And s will be 3. Correct? So, and then each time, if we can just put a condition that if f equals to s, we can put a while loop or anything, where if f equals to s, then return true, end the loop, and it's over. Again, sorting this array itself will take up O of n log n, which is also, it's okay, but we can have better things in mind. So now let's come to the final approach, which is the third approach. Let me just get rid of all of this. Now let's have a look at the third approach. In the third approach, we are going to be creating a hash set, and this hash set would basically just be a Python set. We'll just be naming it a hash set, and in that we'll be storing all of these values, and we'll be iterating through each value in the array, and we'll be checking if that value exists in the hash set. If it does not exist, we'll be appending it there, and if it exists, then at that point we'll be returning true. So I'll just show it to you in the coding part, but to explain this in a more simpler way, we will have this set over here which will be empty, and then we will start. So in the first iteration, n equals to 1, in the second one n equals to 2, n equals to 3 in the third one, and n equals to 1 in the fourth one again, right? So in the first one, when we enter into the first iteration, we will check n equals to 1. We will say if n in set, then return, then this, okay, yeah, if n in set, then return true, right? And if else, append n in the set. So what will end up happening is, right now n equals to 1, we went to the set is empty, n equals to 1 is not present in the set, so we'll put 1 over here. Then we'll go to n equals to 2, we'll again check 2 isn't present, so we'll append 2 into the set. We'll go to n equals to 3, we'll check if 3 is present in the set, 3 is not present in the set, so we'll append 3. Now we are coming to the fourth iteration, and we are going to go through n equals to 1. Now is n equals to 1 a part of the set? Yes. So because n is a part of the set, we are going to be returning true. And this approach is the best one because it is O of n, right? So now let's get to coding it. Now let's start coding. So we'll be first starting by creating a variable which will be storing our empty set. We're going to be naming it hash set. You can name it whatever. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be iterating through each number in the list or array, right? So for n in nums, right? So we'll be picking up each number from the array. If n in hash set, so we're going to be checking if the number is present in hash set, return true, right? And the t has to be capital over here. And then we're going to do an else condition. Else hash set dot add n, correct? Now what this will enable us to do is that in the given example, when we come to 1, it will check, it will first pick up 1 from the list, then it will check if 1 is present in hash set. Right now it is not, so then it will, the if condition won't be satisfied, so it will go to else, and then it will add 1 into the hash set. Next up, it'll add it, and then it'll get done with the iteration. And at the end, once the for loop is done, if still we haven't returned true, that means we need to return false. Now let's run this. And as you can see, we got case 1, case 2, case 3 all satisfied. And obviously what happens is, when these people at LeetCode are designing their questions, they won't give you all of the cases right away, right? So you need to submit your solution, and there might be some tricky cases which they have put in for checking it. So press submit now, and you can see our solution was accepted. However, the time complexity is not the best. Now for this question, I have a bonus solution for you. So this was a proper approach using DSA, but there is a tricky Python approach that we can also implement. So let me just comment this code out, right? And I'll just comment this, I'll just copy this function line and I'll paste it here, and I'll uncomment it, right? And the tricky part over here is that what we can do is, instead of creating the set like this, we can use hash set equals to set function over nums. Now what this will do is, it will automatically convert the entire array of numbers, the list of numbers, into a set. So automatically whatever 1 2 3, so very basic, let's just compare their lengths. So we're going to start with if length of hash set is equal to length of your nums, right? So that means that they don't have any repeating numbers or any duplicate numbers, so we're just gonna return false, and then we can just return true over here, right? And let's run this first, right? And never submit before running it, because it might, there might be some typo or some error that you've made, and maybe that goes into a submission, and that just takes a lot of time. So just run it once. It's working, all the 3 test cases are accepted, and let's submit this now, and hopefully we get a better rank over here. And yeah, we get a better rank, right? So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am Kevin Karia. You can check out my website in the description below. If you like this video, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more such